Too soon, too late. My name is Anna. I am an old woman now, but I remember my teenage years very well. I want to tell you a story. It is a sad story. It is my story. A long time ago, I lived in a small town with my mother and younger sister. I was young and full of dreams. I thought I had time for everything. I thought I had many years to try, to wait, and to hope. But I was wrong. Time is fast, and it does not stop for anyone. There was a man. His name was Jack. He was kind, quiet, and gentle. He liked to read books under the trees. He liked to walk alone in the park. I met him one morning while walking to the shop. He smiled at me first, and I smiled back. That was the first time I saw him. I still remember that smile. It was small, but warm. We met again a week later. I was sitting alone, drinking coffee near the window. He came and said hello to me. I said hello too, but I was a little shy. We talked, but only a little. Just a few words about the weather and the street. Nothing deep, but still I felt something in my heart. I think he felt something too. It was something soft and quiet, like the sun on your face in spring, like soft music on a calm morning. After that, I saw him many times at the shop, in the park, on the corner. We always smiled and said hello, but we did not talk more. I wanted to, but I was afraid to speak. I told myself, maybe next time. I thought I had time. I thought I could wait. I waited many days. I waited many weeks. Each time I saw him, I smiled. Each time I said only small words. I wanted more. I wanted to say what I felt, but I never did. I always waited for the next day. Then one day, he was not there. I looked for him. I waited in the park. I walked to the shop. I stood near the trees, but he did not come. Not that day, not the next day, not the next week. I asked the man at the shop. I asked the old woman in the park, but no one knew. Jack was gone. I sat in the park alone. I looked at the trees, the grass, and the sky. I thought about the time I had. I thought about the days I waited. I thought about my fear, my silence, my delay. I did not cry, but my heart felt cold. My hands felt empty. My eyes stayed on the path where he used to walk. I told myself, and I will do it, Jackaro. I told myself, and it's not the right time now. I said this again and again. But sometimes we do not get Jackaro. Sometimes life moves too fast, and when we wait too long, it is too late. I waited too long. Now I sit with memories, not moments. Even now, I go back to that park. I sit on the same bench. I look at the trees, at the sky, and the people walking by. I still think of Jack. I still see his smile in my mind. I still feel that warm, soft light. But now it lives only in my memory, only there and nowhere else. Time is a strange thing. It feels slow when you wait. It feels fast when it's gone. I sat in that park many times after Jack left. I watched the birds, the clouds, and the wind. I listened to the voices of people passing by. Some were laughing, some were talking on phones. But I sat in silence, holding the memory of someone I hardly knew. I started to think about small things. His shoes were always clean. His coat was always a little too big. He walked slowly, like he had all the time in the world. He never looked in a rush. That was one of the things I liked about him. He was calm, like the early morning light, And now he was not there. Only the memory stayed with me. I began to blame myself. Why didn't I speak? Why didn't I try? Why did I wait? These questions stayed in my mind all the time. I thought about them when I woke up. I thought about them when I went to bed. I thought about them while walking, cooking, and even dreaming. My heart felt heavy every day. It did not go away. Sometimes I walked to the places we used to meet. I stood near the tree where he read his books. I passed the coffee shop where we first talked. I looked at the windows, the doors, and the people. I hoped maybe one day I would see him again. But days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and still nothing changed. One day it rained very hard. I did not stay home. I went to the park again. I sat on the wet bench under a small tree. I was cold. My hair was wet, but I did not care. I looked at the grey sky. I thought, maybe he is in another town now. Maybe he is happy. Maybe he has someone. That thought made me feel sad, but also calm. After some time, I stopped going to the park. It hurt too much to sit there. I started walking in new places. I found quiet streets and empty cafes. I tried to forget him, but I could not. Even the new streets reminded me of him. A word, a sound, a smell. They all brought his memory back. He was gone, but still close. I never told anyone about Jack. Not my mother, not my sister, not my friends. It was my secret. It was a quiet story in my heart. Some people think love must be big and loud, but sometimes love is small. It is in the way you smile. It is in the way you wait. It is in the way you remember. Years passed. Seasons changed. I grew older. My hair changed. My life changed. But my memory of Jack stayed the same. It was still soft, still warm, still quiet. I did not see him again. I do not know where he went. I do not know what happened. But I still think of him when the sky turns grey. Now when I sit alone with a cup of tea, I think of that time. I think of my silence, my fear, and my waiting. I think of all the words I did not say. And I tell myself again and again, sometimes too soon becomes too late. And that is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. There is something strange about memories. They do not follow time. They come when they want. They stay as long as they like. Sometimes I would be walking home from work, and a small leaf on the ground would make me stop. It looked like the leaf that fell on Jack's book that morning in the park. Just one leaf. But it opened the door to everything. One evening I passed the old shop. It had new windows now. The door was red instead of green. But in my mind, I saw him there again. I saw his hands holding a book. I saw his small smile when he looked up. The real shop was quiet and empty. But in my heart, it was full. Full of moments that never happened, but still lived in me. I started writing in a notebook, just a few lines each day. Not poems, not stories, just words. Words like, "And I saw the bench again today," or "In the sky was grey like that afternoon." My pages filled slowly like soft rain on a window. It did not change the past, but it helped me carry it. The notebook became my friend. Sometimes I imagined what I would say if I saw him again. I would say, "Hello, I missed you." Or maybe I wanted to talk to you that day. I practiced the words in my mind again and again. But deep inside, I knew I would never see him again. Still, the words stayed with me. They became part of me, like my hands or my name. One night I dreamed of him. We were in the park. The sun was warm and the trees were green. He was reading again. I walked to him and sat beside him. He looked at me and said, "She waited." I smiled and said, "Yes, I did." Then I woke up. My pillow was wet with tears, but I felt peace just for a moment. I sometimes wonder, was he real? Was Jack a person or just a feeling? Maybe he came into my life just to teach me something. Maybe he was there not for love, but for time. To show me that time is not always kind. To show me that silence can be heavy. That waiting too long can break the heart. After many years, I finally told someone. I told a friend on a cold winter night. She listened and said nothing. Then she held my hand. She said, "It's a beautiful kind of sadness." I looked at her and smiled. Because yes, it was sad, but it was also beautiful. Not all love needs an ending. Some just need to be remembered. I never tried to find Jack. I did not ask people or search online. I let him stay where he was in the past. I think if I found him now, it would change the memory. Maybe he has gray hair now. Maybe he has forgotten me. I do not want to know. I want to keep the picture I have simple, soft, and full of light. And now when people talk about time, I listen. I do not speak, but I understand. I know what it means to wait too long. I know how it feels to stay quiet when your heart is full. I know how one moment can live forever. And I always carry this story inside me. It is small, but it is mine. The world keeps moving even when your heart stands still. People walk, cars pass, shops open and close. But inside, I sometimes feel like I'm still sitting on that bench, waiting for a voice, a smile, or a sign. Even though years have passed, that part of me does not move. It stays there, holding on to something that never came. I used to think time would erase the pain. I believed the memory would fade, just like old colors in the sun. But it didn't. The memory stayed. It stayed quiet, but strong, like a soft song you cannot forget. It plays in the back of my mind when I hear the wind or see the sky turn gray. It is part of my days now, and I no longer try to stop it. One spring morning, I saw a man in the street. He looked like Jack. He had the same walk, the same calm steps. My heart jumped. I wanted to call out, but I didn't. I just watched him walk away. It wasn't him. I knew that. But for one moment, I felt the past return. It felt warm, and then it felt cold. I went home that day and opened my notebook. I wrote not him, but it felt like him. That line stayed in my head all day. I made tea and looked out the window. The cup in my hands was warm, but my thoughts were far. They were back in that old time, back with Jack, back with all I didn't say. Sometimes I wonder how different things could be. What if I had spoken? What if I had said, "Let's sit together," or "Do you want to walk?" Just simple words, easy words, but words I never said. I held them in my heart, and now they live there forever. They never became sounds, only thoughts, only wishes. There are many kinds of silence. Some are peaceful, like a quiet evening. Some are heavy, like a closed door. The silence between Jack and me was full of hope, but later it became full of regret. I now know that waiting is not always wise. Sometimes we wait so long that life passes by while we think we have time. Now when I see someone sitting alone, I wonder what they are thinking. Are they waiting? Are they afraid to speak? Do they also carry a quiet story in their heart? I want to tell them, say something, don't wait too long, but I don't. I only smile, I understand. Sometimes the fear is louder than the heart. There are days when I feel strong. I work, I laugh, I speak. I enjoy small things like flowers on the table or the sound of rain. But even on those days, the story lives inside me. It is not pain anymore. It is a lesson. A soft reminder that time moves and feelings must move too, or they will break. I am older now, but I still learn. I learned that people come and go. I learned that some moments never return. And I learned that love, even silent love, can shape a life. I tell my story not for answers, but to remember, to keep that quiet part of me alive, to say, I was there, I felt it. I remember some days I walked by the old park again. The trees are taller now, the bench is still there, but it looks older, just like me. I stand near it not to sit, but just to look. I close my eyes and breathe in the air. It smells the same as before, wet grass, wind, and time. I picture the past not to feel sad, but to feel real. There are people who say we must let go. They say we must move on and stop thinking about things that didn't happen. But I think memories have value, even the ones that hurt. They tell us who we were, what we felt, and what mattered. I don't want to forget. I want to hold it gently, not as pain, but as part of my story. Sometimes I write letters to Jack. I never send them. I don't know where to send them. Maybe he is somewhere far, or maybe he is gone. But writing helps. I write things like in sign, sorry for not speaking, or and do you wish we had more time? These words never reach him, but they bring a kind of peace to me. One letter said, I still remember your smile. It was soft, like the morning sun. That smile only lasted a few seconds, but it stayed with me all these years. It's strange how small things last longer than big ones. We didn't talk much, but that one smile said everything. It said, I see you, and that was enough. I sometimes dream of another life. A life where I said hello. A life where we walked together in the park. A life with shared coffee, warm talks, and quiet evenings. In that dream, we grow old together. We sit in the same park and laugh about the day we first met. It's only a dream, but it feels so full, so alive, so close. There is a kind of beauty in what never happened. It stays perfect, untouched by time. In real life, things change. People fight, days get busy, and feelings fade. But in memory, nothing breaks. In memory, we are always smiling, always quiet, always near. And maybe that's why I hold it so tightly. I don't talk much about Jack now. Most people wouldn't understand. They think love must be long, full of stories and time. But not all love is like that. Some love is short, silent, and deep. It lives in quiet spaces. It lives in the way we carry it year after year without needing anyone to see. One rainy afternoon, I sat by my window and watched the world. Children ran with umbrellas. A couple shared a laugh under a tree. And there I was, older, alone, but not empty. My heart was still full of what could have been, full of what was never said, and full of the quiet love that still stayed with me. In the end, I think we all carry something unfinished. A word we didn't say, a person we didn't reach, a moment we let pass. That is part of being human. And when I close my eyes at night, I tell myself it mattered. Even if no one saw it, even if it ended before it began, it still mattered. Years have passed, and the lines on my face have grown deeper. My hair has turned grey, and my hands are slower now. But inside, I am still the same girl who once stood by that park bench, afraid to speak. I still feel the wind on my skin, still hear the sound of leaves falling. Time moves on, but some feelings stay. I live a quiet life now. I water my plants, drink hot tea, and write small notes in a notebook. I write about my days, my dreams, and the things I never said. Many times I write the same words too soon, too late. They remind me that time does not wait, that silence has a cost, that missed moments never return. People ask me why I never got married. I smile and say, it just didn't happen. But deep in my heart, I know why. My love stayed in that one moment on that quiet day with that boy and his kind smile. I gave my heart without words, and somehow that love, though silent, was enough for me to keep going. There is something soft about silent love. It does not end. It does not break. It stays warm inside like a song with no end. I did not have to worry about losing it because I never truly held it. I carried it in my heart like a light that never fades, a gentle light that only I could see and understand. Sometimes I wonder what Jack would say if he knew. Would he be surprised? Would he remember me? Maybe I was just a quiet face he saw once. Maybe he never thought of me again. But that does not make my feelings less true. What I felt was real, even if it was only mine to feel and remember. Writing has helped me keep my memory safe. I write not to forget, but to remember. I write to give shape to my feelings, to say this mattered, this was real. Even if no one else reads my words, even if the notebook stays closed, the story lives on. My heart knows it, and that is enough for me. I sometimes visit the same park. The trees are taller now, the bench older, but the feeling is the same. I sit there and close my eyes. I listen to the wind and remember that day. I see myself again, standing still, holding my words inside. I feel the warmth I never shared, and I smile, not with sadness, but peace. It's a good way to practice English every day. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories.